Clarity, why don't you come over me? What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of We Lift Big. Now, special announcement. Well, if you are witnessing this on YouTube, you will see that you can see me. I am taking a video of this podcast that I record, and my hope is that it turns out okay. This is an element that I've always wanted to incorporate as this podcast moves on forward, and especially when I bring on guests. This is something that I want to have. I want to have this visual element to the podcast. But this is kind of a test run, and so I don't know if you can see I have two different mics going. Just make sure my sound is there. If one mic fails, I have the other mic because I'm still testing out the sound system and all of the kinks and things that that go into making this podcast what it is, audio, visual, all of that good stuff. And it's a lot to mess with and twerk with, and so anyways, it's going to be a little rough, but we're going to do this. It's going to be all right. Going to get better as we go. But I am excited to have a visual element. Y'all can see me and see what I look like. I'm just lounging in my house recording this brilliant masterpiece of words. All right, we are going to get started. Anyhow, I hope that you are off to a beautiful start to your week. And I'm feeling pretty good this week. I'm not going to lie. This week, I feel like I have a little more energy. I definitely think it's because I have been eating a lot more whole foods. That is something that I strive to do in my week anyways. And I use this food delivery service called Imperfect Foods. And they give me really awesome organic produce. And I love them dearly, and so I've been enjoying lots of fruit and vegetables, and if anyone is curious, wanting to learn more about that, I'll include that in my Q&A this week. And so reminder to myself, talk a little more about imperfect foods in my Q&A podcast for this week. Anyhow, we are going to get into the podcast right now. The mindset. This is my way of inspiring you in your week, and I hope that again these pieces give you inspiration and motivation and just a perspective, something to take with you into the week ahead. Anyhow, we're going to dive into this. So today I want to talk about clarity. Last week, I spoke about transparency, and one of the elements of transparency that I wanted to emphasize is that in order to paint a clear picture of ourselves to others, you need to have an understanding of yourself and a deep understanding of who you are as an individual. Because honestly, the more I think about it, the more passionate I feel about how imperative it is for us as individuals to take time in our days to really get to know ourselves, not just for who we are that day. And I emphasize day because I believe we are always evolving as people, and not to sound cliche, but we're not the version of ourselves we were yesterday, and we are not going to be the same version of ourselves tomorrow that we are today. That's just the nature of things. But to dig deeper, in addition to understanding ourselves and having this really deep, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what makes me happy and sad and all of those things. But I also wanted to talk about how clarity applies to our goals and just honestly, just basically everything in our lives. Everything that we do, we say, we think, we feel, there is value in all of that. Even the smallest, seemingly insignificant moments in our life do carry value. And the better we get at being observant of those things and recognizing the small thoughts and feelings and actions in our day and the pacing of our day and the pacing of how we go about things, the more we can just create these really beautiful lives for ourselves and these beautiful communities. And so I want to dive into that. And so, what are 3 things, probably your top 3 things, that you are working towards in your life right now? How clear are those things when I ask you what they are? How detailed of a picture can you give me right now? And if you cannot currently paint a clear picture of what those things are, or heck, you can't even give me 3 things off the top of your head, that's okay. I've been there. I get it. And I can tell you that when you finally sit with yourself and step towards clarifying those things with yourself, it takes so much weight off of your shoulders and you begin to live with intention. You can stop feeling like you're blowing in the wind or you're stuck in the thick of the fog of your own brain. And it's not like you'll never be in the fog, and it's not like you'll ever have a moment again where you don't feel like you're blowing in the wind. That's part of the process. But at the very least, you'll have an intention that you know where you want to be and where you want to end up. And you'll have this purpose when you live your life. And especially with COVID and just having all of this extra time to be with ourselves, I know that this has been a very clarifying time for so many people, whether it's a change of occupation or a change in relationships or whatever that may be. You've adopted new habits that are good, hopefully good, maybe some bad. And if they're the bad ones, then you want to get towards the good habits again. Anyway, where am I going with this? Focus, Bria, focus. So in addition to getting deep with ourselves and knowing ourselves, get that same way with things that you are working towards in your life. And I talk about the small changes because honestly, it comes down to, how quick do you get ready in the morning? How fast do you prep your lunch? How efficient do you do your work at work? Do you have systems? Like when you have a goal and you have clarity in your goal, everything in your life just gets a little bit better. It gets a little more efficient. I can't tell you how many times I can just get lost in food prep or lost in laundry. And there are times where those things are incredibly important, but when you are working towards something, just everything in your life starts to get a little more efficient and a little more honed in, and we spend less time freaking out about, well, I was supposed to do this thing, but because I took so long doing this or that, or I got distracted, I didn't get done what I was supposed to do, and we beat ourselves up less, and it's just so much less pressure. And so I recommend taking some time this week and not just taking, again, time we talked about last week to get to know yourself and how you want to show up in this world, but how you want to show up for the things that you want to accomplish in this world and getting really clear in those things. And one thing that I want to add to all of this, actually, I think I will bring that up a little bit near the end. So how do I do this in my life? How have I adopted practices to get more focused? And again, I'm not perfect. I don't speak to this in a way that like I've become a master at clarity. I am so not a master at clarity, but I'm getting better. I'm better than I was. And so to share what I have done to bring about a little more clarity in my life about who I am and what my goals are, is I've begun to spend more time with myself in the mornings. And so every morning, about 90% of the time, I wake up to my alarm, I lay in bed, and I type an answer to the following questions in my phone. I just pull out my notepad and I say, today, I send love to. Today, I focus on. Today, I let go of. Today, I am thankful for. And so if you are interested in writing these down and creating these to be a part of your morning, let me say them one more time. Today, I send love to. Today, I focus on. Today, I let go of. Today, I am thankful for. And once I answer those, I meditate and pray on them. It takes me 3 to 5 minutes. I get up, I do about 10 minutes of morning yoga flow, and then I start my day. And this is a practice that I've been working on incorporating into my life for the past 3 months. And I have to say, it's taken me pretty much 3 months to get to the point to where I feel off if I don't do these things. And I think that's, just as a side note, that's one of the hardest part about establishing habits, is that when we are establishing a habit in our lives, it feels bizarre at first. It feels a little bit out of the fray. It kind of messes with our flow of how we were doing things before. But when you, at least in my experience, you've really begun to solidify a habit when it feels weird when you don't do it. And so you want to push and push and push and do things to the point to where it feels off if you don't do it. And that's when you know that you've really begun to solidify a habit in your life. And so whether that's exercise, whether that's going to bed at a certain time, whether that's eating certain foods, it's gonna feel out of the ordinary until it doesn't. And when you try to go back to your old ways, those are the things that feel weird. And then that way you can really have that trigger of like, oh, this feels weird. Okay, I don't want to go back there. Let me do what now feels normal. The thing that I want to feel normal in my life has become a normal thing for me. And honestly, that's probably why I am the most passionate about it, is because it's something that I've struggled with so badly. And maybe you do too. And so try this out and let me know if you do try this out, because I would love to help make your mornings a little more beautiful. But jumping back, so talking about setting goals in your life. And so if you're at the point, whether you have goals set, whether you're clear about yourself and what you want for the next few months or year, or just whatever you're working towards, whatever you're doing right now, one of the most important things that I want to add to all of this is that whatever you do, do not let your past or perceived future define what your goals are, what you're working towards, or who you are as a person. Because there are some times where we feel like, based on our past actions, we are not worthy of certain things that we want in our lives. Like we've lost the right to desire something, or to want to reach for something, or we can't trust ourselves to know that we want what's best for us. Let me ask you this. Who taught you that someone else knows better than you do? Who taught you that someone else is more capable of making decisions in your place? We don't have to be all-knowing. We don't have to have all the answers, but I know for a fact that I know myself better than anyone else knows me. Did I believe that all the time? No, it's taken me time to trust myself, to really believe in my own value, and I am still working on it. I am so not there, but I can tell you I'm a hell of a lot closer than I was even 1 year ago, 2 years ago. And so, whatever you want in your life, do not let your past define you. Do not let your future define you or where you perceive yourself in the future. No one knows where we are going to be in the future. No one. The universe knows, or God knows, or whatever you believe. But we do not know what the future is going to bring. And we know our past, but that does not control the now. We are in the now. We are not living in our past, and we don't have to live in our past. We can just be right now. We can want things right now. We can know who we are right now. And based on the things that we want in our life, we can create and manifest and pursue what we want right now. What we want our now to look like in the future. I love you guys so much. And I don't totally know how this video is going to turn out. I'm going to look at all of this in editing. But I might not just edit I might not even edit this. Ironically enough, after I made so many vocal bloopers, I might just post this as it is. And again, testing the waters with this new video thing. And I hope you love it, because I love you all and I want you all to live your best lives. And so we'll be in touch in a few days for a Q&A, and if all of this looks good, maybe I will post my Q&A questionnaire with this video portion also. And I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Peace.